I wrote the worst book ever when the world was crashing and more people than ever before in history were committing suicide. Specifically, December 2008, banks were shutting down, the stock market had its worst fall ever in history, everyone was losing jobs, homes, families. That month I published a book on investing. It sold 291 copies. It was the worst timing on the worst book in the worst period in recent history. I also lost my house and my wife. So one time my kids were visiting me. I made them come up with me from bookstore to bookstore. Every book I could find, I signed. And I would put weird little notes on each book. Like, if you buy this book you will make $1 zillion. Or, if you buy this book, I will grant you 3 wishes. And then I would sign my name. Then I would put the book back on the bookshelf. I was hoping someone would buy the book. I was hoping I would get rich. One time I wrote a very particular message on the book. My 6-year-old daughter even looked at me when I wrote it and said, "Daddy, what are you doing?" And I said, maybe someone will buy the book because of that message. It was raining outside. I took them across the street from the bookstore, up to the 2nd floor of a building, and there was a magic show going on. In the middle of the world collapsing, I was glad there was still magic. Move forward 6 months. None of my books sold. My publisher wouldn't return my calls. I had been fired from my job. I was getting an official divorce now. And my kids would visit me on the weekends. I was drinking every night and getting really fat, and I was constantly sick. Plus I was broke. In other words, a perfect catch. Maybe I would spend 3 or 4 hours a day on online dating sites. That's how hard a guy like me would have to work to get even one response on a dating site. Hundreds of messages. Finally, one woman responded. I won't get into the details of our first few dates. But I liked her. In fact, because of the low levels of emotional maturity I had, I even thought I loved her. Maybe it was true. Maybe it was true. One time she offered to cook me dinner. So we were going to meet in a bookstore near the train station and then go to her place and she would cook. I was late. She remembered I mentioned that even though my last book was about investing, it had a lot of personal stuff written in it. So she went looking for my book, hoping they would have some. Not surprisingly, they had not sold a single one of my books in the prior 6 months. They had about 8 of them there. The same number that was there 6 months earlier when I was signing the books next to my 6-year-old. She pulled one of the books off the shelves. She was going to read it until I got there. She flipped it open to the first page and saw that I had already signed the book. She couldn't believe the message over the signature. She thought maybe I had arrived at the bookstore first and was playing a trick on her. She looked around. Nobody was there. She looked in the next aisle. Was he here? No, I was late. Now she and I have been married for the past 5 years. I am so happy about it. I look at her and think, how did this happen? Part of the reason, I suspect, is that she believes in signs from a force above. And perhaps that force above had forced my hand when I wrote a message in that one particular book. What I wrote in that book that day, with the world collapsing and even my 6-year-old thinking I was crazy. I love you, James L. Tucker.